Okay, the next stop on our journey is Cinderella. After the misstep that was the Adventures of Ichabod and Mr. Toad, we were hoping for a course correction with this next one. I have not seen Cinderella. In fact, I don't think I've seen any adaptation of
Yeah.
Cinderella, with the exception of Ever After, which I watched a lot as a kid.
Yeah, I've never seen this either.
What did you expect to get out of this going in?
This is kind of one I was really looking forward to because in my mind, it was like a very simple story of like a princess, the whole slipper deal, and the evil sisters. And I've always kind of thought, oh, it's another, underdeveloped romance story that is one of those old Disney classics that can use some updating. And that turned out to really not be the case at all.
Yeah, I'm assuming you were as blown away as I was by how spectacular this thing actually was.
Yeah, this was pretty terrific. I gotta say.
I would dare say it's the next masterpiece in Disney's filmography.
Yeah, I might agree. There's like some things here and there that I didn't really love so much, but overall, really, really fantastic.
Yeah, this was a great movie. I loved it. It was the funniest movie they've done by far.
Yeah,
The plot is a familiar one. Everybody knows this story through osmosis. Cinderella is like a little girl with a widowed father who marries this evil stepmother named Lady Tremaine. Then the father croaks and Lady Tremaine's true colors come out and she reveals herself to be cruel and domineering. And she turns Cinderella into, call it what it is, her slave.
yeah, essentially, yeah.
Cinderella is the slave to Lady Tremaine and the two stepsisters, Drizella and Anastasia.
Yeah, and something I wasn't really prepared for was just how awful they were going to be to Cinderella.
Yeah, this is another example of finding beauty in simplicity. Yeah, every character in this movie is a simple fairy tale archetype, but they are fully realized archetypes, and the movie mines a lot of gold out of their simple character traits.
Yeah, the thing I think that surprisingly works in this movie's favor, like you said, is the simple archetypes. That's something I was kind of worried about, and it's something I've worried about with a lot of these movies. These are really simple characters. I'm expecting like cardboard cutouts the whole time, and it really is kind of the simplicity that makes the whole thing work because it's everything around those archetypes is the stuff that I really enjoy, like the animation, the music, the way the characters interact with each other.
Every detail of this thing feels very thoughtfully considered, all the way down to the way the characters interact with the environments, such as Cinderella. It's interesting to see her work ethic. Like when she's slaving for the stepsister, she has to multitask by carrying multiple things at once, including carrying stuff on her head if she has to.
Yeah, it's all animated extremely well.
I imagine there was some rotoscoping in here. It definitely looked like it at times, but I wonder how much
I
of
don't
this
know.
is.
I didn't really get that impression. To me, this just felt like a big kind of step up in terms of their character animation, and in particular, like the facial animation, especially with the evil stepmother.
Yeah.
Like every like scowl or like frown or like just dark expression she gives is very very well realized. I could see them looking at possibly like actors reference, but I don't think there was like
I'm
rotoscoping.
sure that's probably what they did. They did that with the Evil Queen and Snow White. They've done that with a few of them. I think they go on to do it in Sleeping Beauty. They have an actor perform the dialogue and then they animate to their performance.
Yeah, so I really enjoyed that aspect of their characters. And again, just how cruel and evil they are. Like, just Cinderella's always at their beck and call. Just every 3 seconds, they're asking her to do something.
Despite all that, she's not a bitter character.
No, and that's kind of the other thing I really liked about Cinderella, the character, which I think, kind of going back to the simplicity of the characters and the fairy tale archetypes, is they kind of utilize that to flesh out the character a little bit. Like, you would expect like a bitter or angry person, but the thing about Cinderella is she's always persevering and she's always trying to push forward to reach a goal, and that's like some of the stuff that she sings about is her dreams and stuff like that. And it's the first musical number is when I realized that I had nothing to worry about with this movie.
Yeah, that thing about her realizing her dream that comes to a head at the end when she does attend the ball and she dances with the prince and everything. When she returns home, she feels like her dream is realized. That one night out was more
Yeah.
than enough for her. Contrast that with Lady Tremaine and the stepsisters, where nothing is ever enough for them.
No, no, and they'll fight tooth and nail to try to get things in their favor. Like even when they're trying to find the girl all over town with the slipper, it's like they know the slipper don't fit, but they're trying anything they can to make this work because they're selfish, evil, greedy people.
Yeah, that's the other part of the story. The king, he's grown apart from his son, and I guess his son is actively chasing romance, but he hasn't found the right woman, so the king is trying to basically hook him up with the right lady. That's when he throws this ball for all of the eligible bachelorettes to attend, and Cinderella attends, and she meets the prince and falls in love. And the prince in this movie is not really a character, he's more just a tool to tell the story.
Yeah,
I was okay with.
He is kind of the dream, so to speak. He's more of a metaphor than an actual character.
Yeah, he's an idea, a concept.
Yeah, and man, the stepmother and the sisters try as hard as they possibly can to ruin this for Cinderella. And I guess another thing we should talk about is kind of the animal sidekicks, because they are a big part of this story.
Yeah, they were a much larger part of the movie than I expected them to be. There's a lot of mice activity in this film.
That's kind of my only complaint, and it's not a big one, but I think it does bring it down just a tad bit, because I do think it takes some of the focus away from Cinderella. My favorite stuff in the movie was watching Cinderella like work and persevere and trying to overcome and singing about her dreams.
Yeah.
And just watching her do her thing. Anytime they went to the mice or the dogs or the cat, it was all like funny and stuff like that. But I felt like it kind of just
detracted.
It detracted from the main story, and it kind of involved too much hijinks. It felt like it was just there for the kiddies.
Yeah, although there is some physical comedy in this movie that would make Chuck Jones proud.
Yeah, there is some really good stuff in there.
Some real Tom and Jerry action. Yeah, it's all these mice who are actively trying to help Cinderella at every turn, be it helping her make a dress or helping her with her chores. One of the slight issues I had with them is that sometimes you just can't understand what they're saying. Their voices are sped up.
Yeah, it's the Alvin and Chipmunks thing. And one of the only thing that takes away from one of the musical numbers is like, I know it's good and I like the lyrics and I like the melodies, but like the really high-pitched voices really kind of takes away from it a little bit.
Which song was that? The Cinderella, Night and Day?
Yeah, like I really like the song, but there's parts of it where I'm like, I'm trying too hard to understand what they're saying.
Yeah, as I was listening to that, all I could think of was, like you said, the Alvin and the Chipmunks thing, where the actors are just going, Cinderella, Cinder, and then they speed that up to get the desired effect.
Yeah. The thing I do like about the animal characters in the movie is that it does prop up the character of Cinderella, because it's like, she's so lonely that she doesn't have anybody to talk to but like the rodents in the house and the dog. And one wonders if the pets even can talk, or if it's just like, her trying to become friends with something, because she literally has nobody except the animals in the house.
I wasn't the biggest fan of the design of the cat and the dog. After Bambi, I felt like the cat and the dog looked a little too cartoony, especially when compared to Cinderella herself.
Well, that's kind of an interesting thing. I feel like that was probably on purpose, because there is so much detail this time in the human characters, in the environments, in the shadows, in the lighting again, that maybe they wanted to make the animals a little more cartoony, because they are kind of doing the most ridiculous stuff in the movie. They're the ones doing the pratfalls and the hijinks and the physical comedy. Just stuff that animals can't do, really.
They wanted something a little more elastic and exaggerated.
Yeah, that's kind of the impression I got. The cat, I wasn't really a fan of his design either. I felt like the dog was more impressive looking. The cat looked a little too simple.
Yeah, the cat's name is Lucifer, by the way.
Yeah.
The dog's name was Bruno. He looked slightly more like a dog, but he was a little malproportioned to me. Like, his feet were too big. It's a little odd.
I was also waiting for the cat to have a face turn at some point, but that never happens.
Yeah, in fact, that cat is probably dead.
Nah, he just flips around
and lands on his feet.
Yeah.
There's some really impressive visuals here and some really creative things they do with the musical sequences. One of my favorite parts was I can't remember what it was called, like something Song of the Nightingale or something like that, Sweet Dream,
Oh,
Little
yeah.
Nightingale,
Yeah.
where the stepsisters are singing this song badly, and then the movie transitions to Cinderella, who's like mopping the floor with a sponge or something, and she's singing the song beautifully.
Yeah, and
The bubbles that she's cleaning with, they like rise up into the air, and then you see Cinderella's reflection on each of the bubbles, and
then-
each of the bubbles are like singing, and
Yeah.
they're providing the harmonies.
yeah, they're harmonizing with each other.
That's really smart. And
Yeah,
it gets
it's-
kind of psychedelic.
It's clever, it's unique, it's something we haven't seen yet in one of these movies. I would imagine for a company that's, constantly doing movies with like song and dance numbers, that can get kind of challenging to keep these things fresh. But yeah, I really love that. I love the sequence, Cinderella, whatever it's called, where they're putting the dress together. The animation, the way they're working together, also the way it works in the story. They're just trying to do something really nice for Cinderella because she does everything for everybody else, including the animals.
Yeah, and then the ball sequence where she meets Prince Charming. The dance is incredibly fluid
Yeah.
and beautiful.
Yeah, very well animated, very well put together.
The production design is great, very ornate and elegant.
The lighting and shadow work was kind of a return to what I really liked in Snow White. Not quite to that intricate a level, but things like the pillars of the castle casting a shadow, and then when they dance between the illuminated sections and the shadowed section from the pillars, the lighting on the characters would change. I love stuff like that.
And then we mentioned that this is the funniest movie they've done thus far. Most of the comedy comes from the king and his major domo, the Grand Duke. Those two are hilarious. It's nothing but physical hijinks with him. The king is short-tempered and always pissed off and always threatening the Grand Duke with execution, and the Grand Duke is always cowering and doing his best to please him.
But if the king's happy, he's like the nicest man in the world, and he's throwing cigars at the man. Like, have a cigar, have another one.
And the Grand Duke has this monocle that he's always fidgeting with.
Yeah.
That thing had me laughing hysterically. They fully explore every humorous possibility with that monocle. At one point, he's yo-yoing it, and I was laughing really hard.
He uses it for almost everything except actually seeing through it,
Yeah.
which is just a really funny thing to look at.
Evidently, those two characters are voiced by the same guy. I never would have told.
That seems like really hard to play off yourself like that, especially since their scenes are so fast-paced.
I did think the king's plan at the end was kind of bad. So Cinderella leaves the ball, but she accidentally leaves her glass slipper behind. So the king's plan is, we got to figure out the girl who this shoes belongs to. So let's measure every single woman's foot in the kingdom. And it's like, well, there's got to be at least two people who have the same size foot.
Yeah, the whole premise is just kind of preposterous. Like,
Yeah, it doesn't matter, but when you think about it logically, it's a horrible plan.
yeah, I guess also the fairy godmother, who I expected to have a bigger role in this based off of commercials I always saw back in the day as a kid. Like, her song and her character is always featured.
Salakadoola, bitchakaboola, bippity boppity boo. Put them together and what do you got? Bippity boppity boo. Yeah, she's prominent in the advertising. I had a feeling that she would be used in the movie about as much as she actually is.
Yeah, and her entrance in the movie is really kind of just like divine intervention. It doesn't matter because Cinderella's worked so hard that she's earned one.
Mm-hmm.
And it is nice to see, everything kind of come together, especially after the animals made the dress for her and the family just shreds the thing.
Yeah.
Just, that was really, really hard to watch. I think I exclaimed out loud when they did that.
You did. Lady Tremaine is an excellent villain overall.
Oh,
just
yeah.
totally dastardly. Again, just the simplicity of the character.
Well, yeah, there's no depth to the character really, but just
she's
a horrible villainous presence.
Yeah, she's just evil, but they're gonna make her the most hateful, unlikable person they can make her so that you feel such a sense of relief in the end when good triumphs.
Yeah, it's like if Palpatine ever had a perfect match. this lady.
I also thought she might have been a good pair for Frollo, but Frollo would never go for her. She ain't pretty enough.
Yeah, no, definitely not. Yeah, Frollo's a nasty man. One of my favorite moments in the movie is when Cinderella finds out that the king is going all over town to try to find the person who the slipper belongs to. And that's kind of when she realizes that she's won the game and she doesn't even have to do anything anymore. She just has that blank smile on her face.
Yeah, like we said earlier, the expression work here is top notch.
Yeah, it's like that realization that she's gonna get everything she wants and she doesn't have to listen to these people anymore. That was probably my favorite part of the movie. I also like the second slipper coming into play because I had almost forgotten about it.
Me too. I actually did forget about the second slipper entirely. So when the first slipper broke, I exclaimed, "Oh no!"
Yeah. I did not know what they were gonna do, and then she whipped out the second one. I was like, oh yeah, they set that up earlier.
Yeah, I really got invested in this, and that's just the best feeling in the world. When we were reviewing Bambi, we were talking about this is the magic we refer to when we're looking for the magic of classic Disney. This is that in spades.
Something that we've been doing and we've talked about is comparing and contrasting against the Disney live-action remakes. I've never seen the live-action version of this, but from my understanding, it's one of the better received ones.
Correct. I think it's actually considered to be the best one that they did.
And I have to wonder, have you seen this now? Because I was kind of looking forward to watching that live-action one, because like I said, in my head, I had this movie as like, this is one of those dated Disney classics that can use some updating and modernization. But now I'm thinking, like, how are they possibly going to improve this?
Yeah.
What did they change to make it better?
I think this will probably be another example of them actually putting forth the effort to introduce a little more depth into the characters, only it's actually going to work this time. It's not going to feel feeble or meaningless or doesn't amount to anything like some other ones, which we'll talk about when we get to them. I think that's probably where it'll go, and I do know some of the actors who were in it and seem like they're pretty perfectly cast.
Okay.
We'll find out when we get there, which will be our next video.
Yeah, I'm still looking forward to that watch just to see what they do with it, but now I'm kind of a little more trepidatious after seeing this because I'm just like, God, what's the point? We already have like near perfection, so
Yeah.
but I guess we'll see.
So what is your final number rating on a scale of 1 to 10?
I would give it a very, very strong 9. I would go like 10 or like 5 out of 5 stars, but I do think the animals kind of detract from the main story going on. There's a little bit too much of them, and I felt like we could have cut some of their material to put the focus on Cinderella. And some of their musical numbers are hampered by the kind of squeaky voice effect they got going on. And as much as it doesn't really matter, the prince is not a character at all. So it doesn't have, kind of that problem. But everything else about this is tremendous. It's everything I liked about Snow White. It's everything I loved about Bambi. Just not quite as good as Bambi, in my opinion.
Yeah, I think I do prefer Bambi over this, but despite the mice, I think I will actually give this a 10. I was pretty floored by how much I really liked this. This was magical. It was funny. It was endearing. I liked the character of Cinderella for as simple as she is. Again, like I said, beauty and simplicity. This movie does it tremendously. I was thoroughly engrossed. I was like happy when it was over.
Yeah, it seemed like before we watched it that you weren't exactly in the mood to watch it just yet. That could just be me like misreading, but it seemed like not long at all into the movie that you were pretty much taken by it, as was I. So that's always a good thing.
So yeah, a very, very enthusiastic yes from both of us on Cinderella. This was beautiful.